All right, guys, let's not waste any time at all. Let's jump right in here and start making these meatballs. Now, you're gonna need some ground beef, and I strongly recommend you get 80-20 ground beef. Now, depending on where you shop, it may be labeled ground chuck, but it's the same thing. 80-20 ground beef is what you need. We're gonna be making a very basic meatball recipe here. There's only 4 other ingredients that we're gonna be adding to this ground beef. Now, how much ground beef you need to buy is going to depend on how many meatballs you want to make. When I make this recipe, I use 3 pounds of ground beef and it makes right around 30 meatballs. And we're talking palm-sized meatballs, about as big as this little ball of soap. Per pound quantities of the other 4 ingredients that you're going to need: 1 small to medium-sized onion based on your preference. You need 1 egg slightly beaten, 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs, and finally, your favorite steak seasoning or beef rub, okay? And that's just the taste. Right now, let's get all of that stuff prepped, onions chopped, eggs beaten, and get it all in a bowl, and then we'll go from there. All right, we got everything in the bowl, got the ground beef, all the rest of the ingredients. So now we need to start incorporating all of this stuff and getting it all mixed up in there. Now, you've probably heard this before, but it is very important when you're working with ground beef not to over process it. It has a tendency to stiffen up if you work it too much. So I'm using a technique I call a washing machine technique, and basically I'm just going to put my hands in there. I don't recommend using a spoon or anything like that. I want you to get your hands in there and twisting and folding, twisting with both hands and folding, kind of like you're turning on 2 faucets, twisting and folding until you get it all incorporated. Once you get to the place where it looks like all of the ingredients are pretty much incorporated, you want to do a test meatball just to make sure you have the consistency right and that your meatball is going to stay together. So once we've done that, it's time to start making the meatballs. I take an assembly line approach to this. Whatever step I'm on, I do that step to all of the meatballs. So first we gotta form the meatball. So I'm gonna form all 30 meatballs. All right, let's make some meatballs. Here we go. All right, so we got the meatballs all prepped and ready to be stuffed. Now it is time to turn our attention to the stuffing that's going to go inside. So we need to start that prep, but before we do, I want to come out here and go ahead and get this grill set up. We're doing a low and slow cook for these meatballs. We're going to smoke them low and slow, and it takes the grill a while to come up to temp when you're doing low and slow because you got your grills out, you got your vents closed down. So I want to get that going, and then we'll go back in here and get the stuffing ready that we're going to put inside of these meatballs. Got some partially used charcoal from the last cook. I'm going to use those. I always do. They're perfectly good. They don't burn as hot as fresh coals, but this is a low and slow cook, so it doesn't matter. Let's fill our chimney about half full. Pour those on the top over there. We'll take about 5 unlit charcoal and get those going, and we'll pour those on the top of the other ones. All right, that's gonna take a while. I got a feeling those are a little bit damp, so I'm gonna have to really be careful and watch what kind of smoke I'm getting. All right, it's time to make our stuffing that we're gonna put inside of these meatballs. I'm going to be using jalapeno peppers and pepper jack cheese. So first of all, I'm going to take this block of pepper jack cheese and I'm gonna cut it lengthwise, and then I'm gonna come back and cut it crosswise. And what I'm going for is just some nice little tiny squares that I can put inside of my meatballs. I like to get everything kind of organized and in a row, so it just goes faster that way. So I'm just going to kind of organize these little blocks of cheese in rows so I can get to them really quick. Next up, time to dice a jalapeno. I'm going to be leaving all of the membrane and the seeds inside of here because it's going to be a very small amount, and I really want the heat to come through in that meatball. And once we're done with that, we can take our meatballs out of the fridge and get ready to form the cavities in those meatballs. When I first started doing this, I was trying to be fancy and I was going to use the back of a measuring spoon, but it was taking too much time, man. So I had to switch to the thumb. So you're just going to basically go down the line, down each row, make an indentation, and just keep it moving. We got all of our meatballs ready to accept our stuffing. It's time to start putting the stuffing in. All of our meatballs are stuffed now with our jalapeno and pepper jack cheese. So now it's time to start closing these meatballs back up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a meatball in the palm of my hand. I'm going to use my thumb to press down on top of the cheese and jalapeno. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to simultaneously give it a squeeze. And that's going to push the sides up and over the top. And then we have our closure, and then all we have to do is roll it in the palm of our hands a couple of times and make sure that it's solid, the hole is closed, and the meatball is holding together. Let's do a couple of these to show you what we're doing, and then we'll speed this thing up. All right guys, the grill is coming up to temp. It's not all the way there, but I'm gonna go ahead and put these on. I'm gonna leave them on this rack because there's enough space around all of the meatballs. Plus it's open under the bottom, so I'm not worried about the smoke or the heat being able to get around these grills. Meatballs. So that's how they're gonna sit on the grill. We'll come back out there in about an hour and rotate them. Other than that though, we're not touching them again, except to hit them one more time with the bone sucking sauce on the outside. So we're gonna do that and let it ride. I'm about 10 minutes shy of an hour into this cook, and my temperature dial is locked in, it hasn't moved at all. So this is a nice low and slow cook I got going on. So let's see where we're at. Let's see what it's looking like. I've been rotating these every hour, every half hour or so. Let me see if it's still cool enough to handle by. Yeah, so I'm gonna rotate them again. And then back on, we'll just keep rolling, man. All right guys, my meatballs are about 10 degrees from the internal temperature that I am looking for, which is 165. I'm gonna give them a quick dunk in a mixture of Head Country Original Barbecue Sauce spiked with a little Frank's Red Hot Sauce. So I'm gonna work quickly, real quick, and try to get them all dunked and back on there before my fire starts to spike. and then I'm gonna leave them on there for another 10 minutes and call it good. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content that you're getting in this video right now, please do me a favor and just take a second and hit that like button. It really, really, really helps the video get seen by more people. All right, let's get back to it. So you can see my fire started to flare up on me, but that's actually a good thing because now I'm gonna get a little extra heat to help that barbecue set pretty quickly so I can get these things off. And getting smoked out over here. Another 5-10 minutes, man, we'll be done.